Welcome back. This is the Ancient and Medieval History Lecture for Monday, the 3rd of January, 2021. Your next due date is this coming Monday, where you have Chapter Survey 5 due. Also, right now I'm going to be handing back your case studies and your exams. The way this works is next Friday is the end of the first quarter. So next Friday of this next quarter, I thought, but second quarter, first semester. So anything that you want to have in has to be in by 3 p.m. next Friday. That includes missing assignments, test rewrites. Nathan? Is that you? I don't know. If you don't know, I certainly don't. Remember, you guys wore masks for ridiculous amounts of time. It messed up with my poor facial... I recognize your faces, but attaching them to names isn't so easy, especially after 2 weeks away from me. Claire.
Oh, that was the best.
Well, you're going to pay for it now. So, with the tests, you can rewrite wrong answers for half credit. You know that. Your case studies. Some of them were good. Some of them were not. Those that were not, you may wish to rewrite. Now, this is how you do it. Don't just hand me your new work. Do what you missed. If you have short answers, if you have short answers, rewrite them as full paragraphs. If you have answers that were off or wrong, rewrite them in a new paragraph. Emma. If you have additional information to add, like maps and charts and things like that, attach them to your old work. What you do is you put your new work in front of your old work and get it into me by next Friday. You're not necessarily going to get the grade you would have gotten had it come in right the first time, but you can improve your situation. The way you improve it is by rewrites. So I'm letting you improve your grades. Some of you don't need to. If you got an A or a B, you don't need to. But if you got a D or an F and you want to improve it, you may. If you got an A or a B and you want to improve it, come see me and I'll tell you whether I think it's worth your time, because there is a point of diminishing returns about this. So, any questions about rewrites or about ode work or about anything like that? Okay, it seems pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. For those who wish to or who need to, I hope that you will do these rewrites and get them in by next Friday. Also, Chapter 5 is going to be a part of your second quarter grade, so get that in. And I predict there is a likelihood of there being a quiz on what we do on Unit 3, probably next Thursday or Friday, before midterms. Midterms will include everything we've done from August until now. I warn you, finals in June will be everything from August until June, with an emphasis on the second semester, but with some things from the first. So your midterms would be a good thing to keep. Okay. We're going to start with Unit 3, which is about the Roman world in ancient times. The Roman Republic, the rise of Christianity, and the Roman Empire. This is going to be, I think, the longest of our units. Whereas Mrs. Solzvik focuses on ancient Greece, I focus on Rome. And I do so for a few reasons. The American Republic is based upon Rome's Republic. Rome's republic was functional twice as long as the American republic has been around. What happened to Rome, which was the fall of the republic, could very well happen to us, just like if you have congenital genetic diseases. My family obviously had a propensity for weak eyesight and male pattern baldness. And your families each have your own things. Well, we are of the family of Rome. And you need to understand your ancestry if you're going to take things into account, if you're going to make preparations, if you're going to try to compensate for what could be genetic weaknesses or, in our case, cultural or political weaknesses. Then there's Christianity. Now, we have studied a number of religions. We focused on Judaism because it's a precursor to Christianity. But we're going to spend a lot of time on Christianity because I'm a Christian and I want to use this classroom as a pulpit and turn you all into Christians just like me. Right. Now, because our society is as rooted in Christianity, perhaps more so than it is in Rome. You may be a Christian. You may not be a Christian. You may not even like Christians. It doesn't matter. The Christian faith was the thing around which Western civilization forms. It is the mote of dust in the upper atmosphere around which the raindrop coheres. The Christian faith is the only thing to survive intact after the fall of Rome into the Middle Ages. And it is on that Christian church and that Christian faith that our civilization is built. So whatever your faith, and whatever your thoughts on Christianity, and the truth is Christianity is as diverse as anything else, whatever your thoughts, whatever your opinions, you should understand it. Because if you don't understand Rome, and you don't understand Christianity, our society will befuddle you for the rest of your life. You need to understand these things. When I was growing up, my father was hiding because my mom and dad had a divorce, both their faults. But he decided that he was going to spend his funds on his new wife and his new children. And so he tried avoiding child support. For almost 20 years, he tried avoiding paying child support. Not alimony, which is what you pay to your spouse when you have a divorce, but child support to take care of your kids. Just after I graduated from college, he got into contact with us. Oddly enough, just after he didn't have to pay child support for me anymore. And he invited me out to Southern California where he lived. And my initial reaction was somewhat negative because I didn't blame him for the divorce. I lived with my mom. I knew what she was like. But I blamed him for not fulfilling the minimal responsibilities that a father has and that he was designated to have under the court. But a number of people who I trusted, including my mom, who didn't like him, said that I wouldn't understand myself unless I had encountered my father. That this was an opportunity, not for him to reconcile, but for me. It also happens to be true that my father and I and my paternal grandfather look very, very, very much alike. We have similar voices. I've got some qualities of my mom, but they're not mostly physical or external. So I went and I spent a couple of weeks and I learned some things, some good, some bad. One of the lessons I learned was a universal lesson that our parents are not gods, nor are they devils. They're people, flawed, fallible, limited, just like we are, who try their best, and their best is never really enough. That gave me some sympathy for him and for all parents, and for all kids who have to grow up with them. But I did learn things about me that I can't put into words, but that helped me move forward without bitterness and with greater understanding. Rome and the Christian faith, Rome's republic and Rome's empire, which comes after the fall of Rome, are the most important early influences in our Western society, in our Western culture, in our Western civilization. There is a real reason to understand this stuff. So that's why I'm going to spend extensive time on it. My prediction is it is likely that it'll be somewhere around the spring break, maybe even later, that we finish up with Rome, the Republic, Christianity, and the Roman Empire. So that's where we're going. You start with geography, and there are a number of things that you're going to need to be able to place on a map, hint, hint, next Friday, maybe on the midterm as well. So we'll get started with the seas. This is the Adriatic Sea. The Adriatic Sea, right here. It's behind the leg of Italy. This down here is the Ionian Sea. The Ionian Sea is not on your list, but you may want to write it in. I-O-N-I-A-N, the Ionian Sea. And it's to the east of Rome's heel. It's basically facing Greece. Okay, up here is the Ligurian Sea, L-I-G-U-R-I-A-N. The Ligurian Sea is basically between this island of Corsica and northern Italy. So the Ligurian Sea, right here. The Tyrrhenian Sea. The Tyrrhenian Sea, and these are all in your notes, you should be able to find them, except Ionian Sea. The Tyrrhenian Sea is between this island of Sardinia and central and southern Italy. Tyrrhenian Sea. And comprising all of these little subset seas except the Adriatic, and I will have it here and here and here on your map, is the Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean Sea. M-E-D-I-T-E-R-R-E-N-E-A-N. The Mediterranean Sea, the sea in the middle of the land. So those cover all of the major seas that we have here to consider. I see no questions. Move on. There are two mountain ranges that you'll need to know. We start with the leg bones of Italy. These are the Apennines. The Apennines, the Apennine Mountains. The Apennines are farther to the east than to the west. This is going to shape Italian history. Most of Italy's history and society is west of the Apennines. There are occasional battles east of the Apennines in some cities, but for the most part, west of the Apennines. The Apennines also give Italy a very mountainous cast. It's not quite as hilly and mountainous as Greece. But in Italy, you're never too far away from mountains or the sea. The other mountain range, and this is Europe's greatest mountain range, outside of Scandinavia anyway. This arc of mountains here is the Alps. The Alps. The Alps. A-L-P-S. Now the Alps are actually larger than I show you here because I didn't want to completely cover Friday, January 14th with other things. This darker. See it. The Alps are Europe's tallest mountains, and it is Europe's biggest, most dense, most obstructive mountain range. It blocks travel, and it is not easy to inhabit. One of the reasons Switzerland has avoided conquest since Napoleon's time is because it's situated in the Central Alps. So, we've covered the seas, we've covered the mountains, now let's cover the rivers. The most important river for our purposes is a fairly small river. In central western Italy, flowing from the Apennines roughly southwestward to the sea, this is the Tyburk River. Tyburk, T-I-B-E-R. The Tiber River is also listed in your notes, but you'll need to know that it's about where the kneecap would be. in a person's leg. Tyburk River. Up here, and I should extend this into the mountains. It ain't rich. It's the Po River. Okay, the Po River, P-O, the Po River. And the Po River Valley is basically northern Italy. It's where Italy's hips would be this whole area here. If the Alps are Italy's hip bones, then the Po River is the hip region of Italy. So, the Po River Valley. Now, in early Italian history, the Po River Valley wasn't even considered part of Italy proper. It was considered Cisalpine Gaul, which I'll tell you about later. Cisalpine Gaul on this side of the Alps. So it wasn't really part of Italy, and it had to be slowly conquered from the south. So we've got the Tiber River, we've got the Po River, we've got the Adriatic Sea, the Ionian Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, the Tyrrhenian Sea, the Ligurian Sea. Let's do islands and other lands. The football that Italy is kicking is the island of Sicily, Sicilia, the island of Sicily, where a lot of American mafiosi come from. It's this roughly triangular island, and it, again, looks like it's being kicked by the boot of Italy. Sicily, the biggest of the islands in the central Mediterranean. Then you got these two islands here. The northernmost island, which isn't even part of Italy anymore, is called Corsica. Corsica is where Napoleon is from. Corsica has been part of France for a couple hundred years, for a few hundred years. So Corsica is the northernmost of the two islands. Sardinia, what kind of fish do you think they find around there? Sardinia, yes, actually. Sardinia is the southernmost of the two islands. It's larger, it's more square than Corsica. So are there any features that I have not mentioned in this list of geographical features? Let's look it over. You can point them out. Yes, please.
The city.
Rome. Okay. There are two cities that I have on this map. The first city is Rome. What forever so humble, there is no place like it. Now, Rome, as you will learn, has a couple of interesting geographical features, but just know it's about a third of the way to a half of the way up the Tyburk River from the sea. Here is the city of Carthage. Carthage is the greatest of the colonies of the Phoenicians. When Rome is going to fight Carthage, the wars are called Punic Wars because the Latin word for Phoenician is Punic. So, the wars with the Phoenicians, the Carthaginians. So, Carthage is here, Rome is here. And throughout the early and mid-history of the Republic, Rome and Carthage were building up in a almost inexorable rivalry, a lot like Athens and Sparta. They don't initially have things to compete over, but they definitely wonder who will rule the future. That's what all wars are about, among other things. We've got Rome, we've got Carthage. Okay, in terms of cultural regions, I think I'll do those next time. Don't want to overload you with too much geography. So tomorrow we'll do review of the geography and we'll do cultural regions. Any questions about that? Okay. Now, in terms of eras of Roman history, we start out with the fact. You know what? I'll do that. I'll do that with the cultures. I'm going to do Rome's foundation myths. So I've got to get the remote control. That's right. One of the two. It's the most important of the two. So, with people in back, kindly please, first one of the year, close the shades and shut off the lights. Thank you, Dan. My pleasure. And for those of you at home, I will try to post the videos that I'm going to be showing in class on the foundational myths of Rome, which are the myths of Romulus and Remus and the Aeneid.